all my nieces and nephews, why do you never ever see a pregnant Barbie? It's because Ken comes in a different box, if you know what I mean. Or it could be Ken took a lesson from Uncle Jason's book. Like Uncle Jason's always been taught and always say, when you're with a lady, you always let her, you always let her come first, and you never wipe it on the curtains on your way out, if you know what I mean. As Uncle Jason always says, and girls are like off and ons, you get one good week in every four. They're either coming on or coming off, if you know what I mean. But when they're pregnant, they're like yo-yos. They're up and down like yo-yos, man, like. And Uncle Jason has a couple of stories to prove my point, like. So anyway, I used to be in this large community where I was the only guy and there was loads of girls, right? And they're all like just friends and stuff, right? And because I was the only guy, they were so fascinating, in my opinion, on the girls. They just were. I don't know why, they just had this over-fascination by it. So basically, every time a new person joined the community, it'd be the first thing would be, oh, Jason, Uncle Jason, back then people just call me Jason, but Uncle Jason, what do you think to these girls? Are they in your top 5 now? I was like, okay. So every new girl come in, same thing. Uncle Jason, what do you think to this girl? No, I can say what I thought, blah, 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 blah. And then they go, oh, was she in your top 5, Uncle Jason? And I would answer that. And that all is normal forever as it did, for many, many years. There was this one time where literally a friend's house, literally all having some drinks, and a girl was there who was in the top 5, who was pregnant. Obviously, the pregnant girl wasn't drinking, just to clarify that. And we have a conversation, everyone says, Uncle Jason, who's your top 5 now? Like, I was like, as it goes. So I'll list off a list of 5 names, and the pregnant girl was inside the top 5, but also I didn't name her at that point, because at this point she was 8 months pregnant. So she turned to me, and I was like, what, am I not in your top 5 anymore? I was like, no. And she's like, well, why am I not in your top 5 anymore? Is it because I'm not pregnant? So I said, yes, you're like 8 months pregnant, about to drop, man. I can't exactly be fantasised about knocking on baby's door now, can I, like, man? Do you know what I'm saying? Just the look of shock, honestly, the look of shock on her face was like, unbelievable. I could not believe it. I was like, you gotta be having me on, like, love. Do you know what I mean? Like, I just thought, well, of course I'm gonna say that. What? I'm not always like gonna sit there and go, oh yeah, I fantasise about a pregnant woman. Like, am I like, do you know, oh gosh, no. What, I don't know, my nieces and nephews in the chat, please put in the chat, like, what would you say? Would you put a heavily pregnant woman who's not your partner inside your list of desirables? Some people may be into that, some people may not be. Anyway, number 2, right, and Uncle Jason is rarely speechless, but on this occasion, I was lost for words so badly, my jaw was hitting the floor, like, right, you brace yourselves as my nieces and nephews. So, once upon a time, I was having a conversation with a friend of mine. We were just chatting about, about childbirth and stuff. And all Uncle Jason said is like, oh, yeah, you're having your second child, so it should be easier having your first child. Because normally, in normal conversation, that's just a generic thing you say. And yes, having a second child normally is easier than the first child. Nothing, yeah, absolutely fine, right? And then all of a sudden, she turns around and says, well, I hope so, because last time they had to cut me because I'm so tight down there. I'm like, as a single guy who actually thought before you got the fluff light, before you took it up the muffin up the fluff light, you were actually delicious, like, man. You're now almost pregnant. What the hell do I say to that? Like, I'm literally like, what do I say to that? All my nieces and nephews, if that happens to you, what would you say to the person? Please put in the chat below, because I would love to know. Because Uncle Jason was absolutely speechless, like. Because there's nothing I could have. Like I said, she was before she took it up the fluff. Up the fluff, she was delicious, right? Absolutely. But what do you, and I was thinking to myself, you sit there, I was sat there thinking, like, this is about as much use as standing prick in a graveyard, like, man. Like, what do you say to it? Because Uncle Jason, I never knew what to say to at all, like. If you do know my niece and nephews, please let me know in the chat. Anyway, thank you for watching my niece and nephews. Like and subscribe on your way out, and I'll see you next one.